Hey, I'm Jeremy Johnson, Vice President of Customer Experience for Project 202. Today I'm going to be talking about customer experience changes in retail, supporting the new normal. When working with partners, I've always coached them that there's kind of three questions to ask to make sure that you're providing a great customer experience. First, how have your customers evolved over the past years and what have you learned from it? Two, what are you currently not offering that would interest your customers? Three, how can you improve their experiences? How can you make things easier or more seamless for your customers? So related to that, and I thought I would start with an article from Inc. magazine. So Starbucks just announced a drastic change, what every company can learn from it. And in this article, it talks about how they're going, they're going through a transformation, and they have a new store format that will be known as Starbucks Pickup. Now, with the pandemic, with COVID, right, people are picking up and getting to go. When I ride my bike by Starbucks now, there's a huge line through the local Starbucks that had a pickup window. But this was a trend that they were noticing before COVID. In fact, they said 80% of transactions in the U.S. company stores were for on-the-go orders. And so this is an insight, of this kind of customer behavior shift that led them to kind of start to invest in technology to make that whole journey seamless. And so they're capitalizing on this new changing customer behavior. Now, pre-COVID, obviously, speed and efficiency was always important in retail or any providers really, and it's not any less so during COVID. But people are still shopping. People are still going in stores. In fact, recent polls show that they're doing things like disinfecting their shopping carts, shopping at slower times, using debit and credit cards, avoiding handling cash, and using self-checkout. And when you think about other organizations, other companies that had seen some behavior shifts, Apple, and mainly just because Apple stores are so crowded because they sell millions and millions of products that people want and then want to know more about and then need to be repaired. They actually started their kind of repair service, right? So if you need to go into an Apple store, you could book your time slot. You could show up at your time, and you'll get in much faster. And this was a necessity due to the volume of people inside these Apple stores. Now, that is something that obviously works really well now for COVID and the pandemic as well, being able to book times to go in to lessen the amount of people that are in your locations. Right now, I feel like we're seeing pretty much every possible shift in retail fast forward 5 to 10 years. Digital is accelerating. I like every article or every week I see a new article talking about this. Customers are impacted by stay-at-home orders or just not going out as they're in quarantine. Year-over-year increases are through the roof pretty much on anything digital. And the number of customers who say they plan to continue to shop digitally post-COVID, right? It's 54%. And this is where, will the behavior change for customers continue on past the pandemic? And I think we're seeing the answer to that is yes. Behavior will be changed. Now, digital doesn't mean online only. Best Buy, as an example, early on did a lot of great things, and Best Buy has been investing in technology, digital transformation for quite some time. They added curbside contactless pickup. They were first to offer appointment-only shopping. They were shifting their support staff to virtual one-to-one appointments. Williams-Sonoma as well, like virtual advice, via chat and phone and video, customer portals, right? So moving things to digital solutions to still support their customer base. This is from 2017. It was an article about Target, actually on Target's website. They talk about Target commits more than $7 billion to adapt to rapidly evolving guest preferences. Now, guests are customers, so they're looking for their guests that are changing their behavior, and they knew digital was going to be a large part of that, and it talks about that in the article. Now let's fast forward from 2017 to 2020. So Target sales jump as pandemic speeds e-commerce shift. Some of the numbers they've been releasing are pretty staggering. So Target reported the greatest percentage increase in quarterly sales in the company history. Walmart doubled its e-commerce sales. It goes on to say, that Target introduced millions of customers to their digital fulfillment services. So think about, these are new journeys that your customers potentially had not been on. I have a Target down the street from me, and I hardly had used any of their digital services before the pandemic. It says Target added 10 million new digital customers in the first half of the year. So you're shifting a large amount of your customers and bringing in new customers and moving them all to digital channels, which is new and different. And I feel like a lot of brick and mortar companies, especially, have been kind of dabbling in digital transformation and e-commerce and digital services, but the uptick hadn't really happened. And this is where we see this kind of warp speed kind of shift to digital solutions. So really, finally, customers caught up with investments in modern retail experiences. Tesla is another one. If you order a Tesla, already they had a very unique experience because they don't have any traditional dealerships. And a lot of it was done online. But after the pandemic, they added this little kind of phrase here that says order online for touchless delivery. And they provided a full touchless delivery experience. In fact, when you purchase a car online, you hold it with your credit card, and then you go through all the paperwork on a customer portal. And then when it comes to deliver the car, someone drives a car to your house, they get out of the car, you sign just once on an iPhone with your finger, and that's it. The car is yours. So the only physical interaction is one single signature on a iPhone by the one person that's delivering the car to you. So it's pretty amazing and very in stark contrast to your traditional kind of car buying experience. This was an article about kind of the realities of retailing in COVID, and I really liked where this was going. Retailers should also be thinking about the impact these massive changes will have on customer and the customer relationship. In this environment, shoring up the customer relationship is just as important as shoring up the bottom line. Customers are going to remember which services exceeded their expectations, which digital journeys worked really well for them. And they're going to remember that as their behavior shifts due to realizing kind of the convenience and retailers finally getting digital right, they're going to stick with the customer or the companies that get it right, the products and services. So kind of tactically, what are we seeing in the marketplace? What are we seeing with partners? There's kind of 4 different themes that I've been noticing: touchless, cashless, omni-channel, automation. And they kind of start with omni-channel. The article here mentions, people who have previously been reluctant to shop online are setting up online accounts and experiencing an entirely new customer journey, right? And they're, for the first time, grandpa and grandma are using the digital channels and picking up things or having things shipped or doing curbside right in the store. Now, when you move everything to digital, you do have this great workforce that you need to also kind of redeploy in different ways. But also, as a customer, how can a digital journey provide the similar or the same experience that you would have had in store with your employees and your sales professionals? And this is why digital channels really need to invest in and make sure they get right things like online personalization, upselling and cross-selling, online trade-in, digital contracts, bundling, self-service, really kind of the whole gamut of things that they would have been doing in a store. You need to get that right digitally. Buy online, pick up in store. I actually worked for a retailer a number of years ago. We launched buy online, pick up in store on the website. And at the time, not a lot of people were using it. Maybe a little before its time. We did have a fairly digital savvy audience, but now buy online, pick up in store is now the bar. It has been raised. And in fact, this article talks about how buy online, pick up in store purchases increased 554%, and with online orders up 194%. So it's pretty amazing the amount of people shifting to these new channels. Similar curbside pickup, as I, drive through, different areas and passing by different grocery stores and big box retailers, it's been interesting to see the shift in their parking lot. So more wayfinding, more signage, more lighting, more spaces taken up. Target again released some numbers here and said their curbside pickup was up 730% over the same quarter from 2019, right? So curbside pickup is a behavior shift, is something new, and it's something that took them a while to get right. Again, being near Target, I use it often, and I will say even between March and today, they've drastically improved their digital services for things like curbside pickup. One-to-one service, we've talked about this a couple times, the Best Buy and the Williams-Sonoma example, but there's a great story about Neiman Marcus. They had something called Neiman Marcus Connect, and it was a service that links up their customers with its nearly 5,000 sales associates. Again, you have sales associates, maybe you have stores that have to close, maybe you have less foot traffic. Like, how else can these sales associates be deployed? In this scenario, they generated some 1.5 million interactions via email, phone calls, video calls, or text messages, and it resulted in 60 million additional sales, right, of revenue, which is great. And I would say, arguably, with luxury services, this one-to-one relationship, this personal shopper relationship, is key and very very natural. Contactless and cashless, I think everyone's seen the trends here. I feel like the first time I was able to use Apple Pay, I think I was on a business trip to Canada, because Canada and the UK or in Europe in general, were way ahead of us here in the States of using tap and pay. Now, all the credit card companies have said that pretty much everyone has tap and pay cards now. You have it on your phone. I even saw Toast, which is a point of sale for, I guess, restaurants. I don't know if it's their primary market, but I was at a restaurant, and they send me, or they bring the bill. Bill's got a QR code on it. I take my phone, I scan the QR code. I get this really easy to use system where I put in my credit card, put the tip, and hit pay. Right? It's touchless. So things are becoming more touchless now. Pretty much every store I go into, I feel like takes Apple Pay. So great shifts there. And then self-checkout. So 87% of shoppers say that they would prefer to shop in stores with touchless or robust self-checkout options. These have gotten much better over time. I still feel like the biggest kind of UX challenge here is the error correction. I know whenever there's an error, I accidentally scan something twice. It does seem to take a while to get a sales associate to come by, put in their very long password that they usually can't remember, or mess up a couple times to get that fixed. Physical barriers. So obviously within stores, we want to keep our team members safe. You want to keep your employees safe. And I feel like stores are finding creative ways to add these barriers, but not creating a unnecessary barrier between that relationship that you have with your customer. This one was really interesting. So, when you think about retailers really changing kind of their footprint of their stores, with the Starbucks example mentioned, their new kind of drive-through concept or floor plan. In this case, they're reimagining what could a doctor's office look like. Is this the future? I mean, we've seen these long lines of COVID testing, in cars. How could that experience be improved? And hey, is it actually a bad experience? Obviously, especially here in the States, we all have our cars, right? If we can drive through and be serviced well, and it's a great experience for both the employee and the customer, why not think about changing things in this manner? And then just different stores in general. So during the pandemic, Microsoft announced that they're closing 83 of their retail locations. It did say it was going to operate in the future what they call experience centers, which I think is a pretty common scenario for most retailers in major metropolitan areas. They'll have these big flagship stores or experience centers where you can get the best experience of interacting with their products. But it's a shift from large number of stores to these kind of fewer stores that potentially serve kind of different purposes and different areas. And more kind of in that category, things like Amazon Go. In Seattle, I've been able to try Amazon Go a number of times. Like, talk about touchless. You walk in, you scan your phone. They have cameras, machine learning. You drop things, in your car. You pick things up. It knows what you've picked up. It automatically bills you on your app. Like, it's about as contactless as you could possibly imagine a store being. Also, to that, Singtel had what they called an unmanned store. So they're kind of rapid prototyping to see what kind of experiences they can create if they had to create an unmanned retail location. And so in this, they're testing things like, how do you interact with products? What about pickup and delivery lockers? What if you have to pay your bill? Can you talk with customer service reps virtually, right? So they're really prototyping all these different interactions. Now, this was pre-COVID, and so they're prepared, and they'll be more prepared than other organizations that hadn't thought about these types of things. Another example is Uniqlo. So love Uniqlo, shop there all the time, especially with the athleisure wear trends. Uniqlo was like, hey, why can't we bring our store to people? I'm in Dallas. There isn't a store, actually, which to my dismay, and so I buy most of their stuff online. But they were putting these kiosks mostly in airports at the time. And the idea here is that, a lot of times people forget jackets. It's a little colder than you were expecting. They have great jackets. You could pick your size, pick your color, order it. And so it's a concept of bringing your store or parts of your store to your customers in very contextual ways. And last, this one was kind of interesting. It's Tupperware. They were doing this kind of concept store in Soho, but that was really interesting. Where it's a shopping experience that doesn't really necessitate touching of lots of different products. There's no restocking of displays. There's no crowds. Imagine you're booking appointments. You're going in. You're testing out some of the items, which can be quickly be cleaned. After you leave the store. And when you find the products that you want, the sales associate goes in the back and they find it. They wrap it up, package it up, and bring it right to you. Right. So again, it's about coming up with interesting and new ways to interact with customers. So in the end, it's all about serving your customers and providing them with a great experience. So the idea is, think about how today those kind of three questions that I asked earlier. Think about like is your customer behavior changing? Are you providing them with seamless experiences? How often are you gaining those insights? Think about maturing your organization to bring in potentially new methods, qualitative methods, getting really close to your customer, follow me homes. Even in COVID, you could do those things digitally and bring that contextual data to your product teams. Think about journey maps, personas, right? Like really understanding the entire omni-channel experience, where those pitfalls may be, and then what are those opportunities that you should be investing in as an organization to improve that overall experience. It's been really interesting to see what retailers are doing. They're really innovating right now. Again, it's just been this super kind of fast shift into the future, which has been really exciting, and I can't wait to see more from our retail partners.